these Sportskeeda year-end awards. And it's not going to be pretty for the other people doing award shows, because all these other polls are fixed. They are all homers. Whoever is leading the polls are leading them in a certain direction. There was no trying to convince me one way or another. This was a straight poll. I know a lot of people from Russo's brand. A lot of people were involved in this poll, a lot of great former wrestlers. And I know they were honest to the T. Nobody tried to sway anybody in any way. So I give credit to Sportskeeda for having the first ever legitimate, let me say that again, legitimate year-end awards. Congratulations to you, Sportskeeda.
More massive news coming out of the AEW exit of Cody Rhodes, and it looks like he is indeed heading back to WWE. As if that wasn't enough, we heard about the news of Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to Dallas, WrestleMania, stomping a mud hole in that Montreal son of a bitch, Kevin Owens. Well, it looks like WWE has another major Austin-level attraction in store for WrestleMania. Who could it be? Plus, you knew him as Buddy Murphy. Now you will know him as something else in All Elite Wrestling. We're getting into a lot more on today's Sportskeeda Wrestling top story of the day. You share that link or you stink.
What?
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Watch out, watch out, watch out. What's up, everybody? I'm Kev Kelm. That is Jeremy Bennett in Nebraska. If you ask you, if you're with us every single day, thank you so much. We got a lot to get in here. I want to fire this up here before we get into the news of the day, this Cody Rhodes story, which is quite huge here. I want to pull this up here one more time. Look at this. Look at this. We just updated the voting for the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards coming up here in a few weeks. Those votes will be tallied, but here's where they stand right now. Male Wrestler of the Year, Roman Reigns, really running away with it, Jeremy. What do you think of these numbers coming in so far?
Acknowledge me. I think it's not really a big surprise that Roman Reigns is leading the pack there, considering he has been champion for quite some time now.
And if you're not happy about it, go get your votes in for your other favorites on that list. There's a lot more. Go check it out, sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards. You could win gaming consoles. You could win all different types of merchandise. One of WWE's Hindi language commentators is going to be on the debrief tonight, giving us insight on what they think is the top performers of the year. So definitely go check it out. Let's get into this top story of the day. Cody Rhodes. This is certainly the story of the week. You thought Stone Cold would be the story of the week, but it has gone a different direction here. We've learned more about Cody Rhodes' exit from AEW, and more reports, more information kind of coming in on this from multiple sources here. And the word expendable was used to describe him internally in AEW. This is crazy. Tell me what's going on, Jeremy.
Yeah, apparently, according to Wade Keller at PW Torch, that it was pretty much announced that Cody was expendable once they had the signings of Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, and they, they just didn't see the value in Cody. I think there were a lot of things that happened over the past 9 months where there seemed to be a rift between Tony Khan and Cody in terms of creative direction and things like that. There was a recent article here from Sports Illustrated where Justin Barrasso does mention that sources close to the situation say that his next destination is indeed going to be WWE. And the main reason of the departure by Cody Rhodes is the fact that he lost his booking power. So that, there were just a lot of odd things now. And in that kind of just caused a rift, I guess. And maybe that was the start of that report that we saw when, we heard that the Young Bucks and Cody were kind of separating themselves. So it was pretty interesting to hear that. And then the report here mentioned while Cody Rhodes was never intended to overstay his welcome in the world title picture, one key factor that led to his exit was losing all responsibilities involving booking. That is a role where Tony Khan, who is head of creative, has now taken full reign. Originally, it was Cody, Omega, and the Bucks that kind of had a lot of the booking decisions going on there. Originally, Rhodes was part of the process, and then he kind of lost that when it went over to Tony. There is also a report from Dave Meltzer at Wrestling Observer that Cody Rhodes has no ownership stake in AEW following his departure. There was an initial thought that they had ownership in the company. That is not the case at all for any of the EVPs. Tony Khan is the sole chairman and owner of AEW. So that is a report that came out from Uncle Dave. And also on Wade Keller's report here, he mentions that Vince McMahon has huge plans for Cody Rhodes on his WWE comeback. So don't expect a mid-card push, a John Morrison thing. Don't expect Stardust. Expect main event Cody Rhodes in WWE. As it appears, Vince McMahon is going to be very high on pushing him. Obviously, it makes sense, doesn't it, Kev? You got a high-profile guy that was at the top of company number 2. It makes sense that he's a big dog in WWE, right?
This is a trajectory we've seen before, where you have someone that leaves WWE, they're frustrated, or they get released, right? And they fall, down to the position where they can be released, like a Drew McIntyre was. Go off, find themselves, get themselves in the best mental, physical shape they can be, win titles around the world, reestablish themselves as a star, reestablish new territories, reestablish new promotions that are underneath WWE, and then return and be an even bigger star. There's no doubt Drew McIntyre is the biggest version of himself, at least in the last few years, that he's ever been, and way bigger than he ever was before in WWE. Mm-hmm. So it's worth noting that you now have Cody Rhodes kind of coming in and doing almost the same thing. This is a guy who was already a big star, but a mid-card star, and did some things in WWE of note, but he was a complete WWE creation that left WWE. He was completely created there. Left WWE, made huge waves, changed the entire industry with the launch of AEW and All In and all these different things, and really put Ring of Honor on the map and did big things with New Japan and Impact and across the board since he left WWE.
Yeah.
But now to come back, he is such a bigger star. WWE recognizes that from what we can tell here, and they're going to do something big. This is the first significant shot since NXT was positioned on Wednesday night against Dynamite. This is the first shot that WWE is taking at AEW, and I think this one is going to be a little bit more lasting and a little bit more impactful in terms of WWE gaining some foothold with the cool factor of wrestling.
And more stuff from Wade Keller's report at PW Torch. It says here that Cody and WWE have not confirmed, but Cody is going to WWE. He's going to get a big push. Vince McMahon is going to treat this as a big deal. Everybody I've talked to thinks Vince loves the idea of acquiring a co-founder and EVP, a main event wrestler. He just held their secondary singles title not that long ago, and having him show up on WWE TV is something that Vince is very interested in taking advantage of and making money on it. It could even be a situation where Cody is in a major match at WrestleMania. Wade went on to say, I fully expect Cody to be on WrestleMania either as a wrestler or making his return. I don't know if they can hold back putting him on TV, so I could see him appear on Raw or SmackDown as soon as next week. I'm not aware of any kind of non-compete at this point since he's been a free agent. I would not be shocked if we see some augmentation to the booking plans for WrestleMania, perhaps related to Elimination Chamber, in order to set the stage for Cody to do something really big at WrestleMania.
Eric Cavalera, you guys can also chime in as well if you're with us live or on demand. Don't worry if you're on demand. I jump into the comments afterwards. I enjoyed jumping into yesterday's episode. Thank you guys to the more than 123,000 of you that watched our content yesterday on Facebook. That was really, really impressive, and we're very, very thankful to the diehards who are always with us live. You guys are the people that really get this going. So your likes, your comments, that galvanizes the algorithm. The greatest weight that we can lift is the algorithm. So thank you for that. Eric with a big thing here. I don't know. Historically, Vince, I guess he's referencing Vince McMahon. Am I correct? Is that the Vince he's talking about?
I would
loves to bring people in from another promotion and burying them, proving it to other promotions are weaker. I've seen that before. I think that was more of a widespread thing with WCW, but that isn't the case with the Drew McIntyre. A guy who came from Impact basically, and came from all these other promotions, and came back to the company, and they made him a big star. And they did that with some other people as well. You kind of have to figure, Christian.
Christian was a mid-carder,
and
he became a world champion in Impact, came back, became a world champion in WWE.
Exactly. So I don't think that's a concrete thing. I get what you're saying, but this is a different circumstance. This is a completely different circumstance. WWE wants you to know that they are not going to take this thing lightly anymore. Like if they're going to reposition how they spend money on talent, and it's all about getting people that move the needle, Cody is a needle mover. Yeah. Cody is a guy that people talk about. Cody is a guy who gets people talking. Cody can have great matches. Cody knows how to market himself. Cody's a passionate guy. He has that generational power from his father. It's a name that people want to see. All right. And he will be able to do some big things in WWE. I've already seen people scream to the high heavens about the matches they want to see with Cody in WWE. And I think people need to get it past them that this is work. This is work. This isn't a work, guys.
Not anymore, kids.
This isn't a work. I could see where yesterday people kind of thought that. But if AEW did this as a work, as some big elaborate work where the president of the company comes out and says this talent has been released, and that talent then puts out this big long worded thing and says thank you, and their wife who's a part of the company does as well, and then they're back on television, and it was an elaborate work, why would you ever trust them to tell you anything? Why would you? If that's a work, then what isn't a work? So I don't think you want to set that precedent.
No.
Once you go there, it's hard, and it's hard. And I wonder what tonight's, we're on before All Elite Wrestling tonight. I wonder if someone's going to make reference to it. All Elite Wrestling loves to talk about what's going on in wrestling. They love to play to the smart fans. I wonder what's going to happen there.
While Cody was on TV, I could see how it could be construed as a work. Hell, Fightful Select's report even said the wrestlers thought it was a work up until they didn't show up to Dynamite last week. So, you could very well see it at that point, but now it's pretty crystal clear.
So it'll be interesting to see here. I want to see what more fans are saying about this here and where it's heading. A lot of people mentioned they want to see Cody versus Rollins. I've seen that. I've seen many people say that. Oh, you should do the big AEW guy coming in versus the guy who waved the flag at WWE. You should do him.
Well, plus, that would just be a good match. I mean,
yeah, be a great match.
Both are top tier performers. That'd be a Triple H would be fun just because they've taken shots at each other.
I don't know if Triple H after the heart surgery is going to be in the ring anytime soon. I just don't think so. It'd be great. That would be another match I would absolutely want to see. If Triple H is only going to do like 1 or 2 matches a year, that'd be a match I would want to see.
And I wonder what Cody we get. I wonder if we get good guy Cody to start. But man, I really want to see Ring of Honor heel Cody in WWE.
Travis with a comment here. WWE will basically give Cody what he wants due to him being a Rhodes former EVP and co-founder of a rival organization. Yeah, they certainly gave him something that made him want to go over there.
That's what.
Now, WWE. It's worth noting WWE has not confirmed this news. Neither has Cody Rhodes. Obviously, I think this is something that maybe they want to surprise fans with, or at least get you tuning in for television to see what's going on. They understand that social media creates anticipation, and in entertainment, anticipation buys you attention. So it's a smart thing for them not to say that right away.
And that was what that report even said. I mean, Vince is going to take full advantage of a unique situation like this because it ain't every day that you have a founder of your the number one rival, coming over. You have the founder coming over from your number one rival. It is not happened. Since Ric Flair in '92. He wasn't really a founder because NWA had been around before.
No, but he was a top guy in the NWA WCW at the time.
So there is really no precedence here. You don't have like a TNA founder. I mean, that was Jeff Jarrett, and he didn't come over to WWE immediately after starting TNA. He stuck around in TNA for a very long time and was a multi-time world champion. So there is really no precedent here. This is a first time ever And Vince sees it, and Vince is going to capitalize on it. And it ain't going to be by putting him in comedy skits like John Morrison. He is going to get pushed. He's going to probably face a former world champion at WrestleMania. I don't know what direction they go, but man, the possibilities are endless.
They're certainly interesting. You know what I mean? Another thing is you see people here who are live with us, guys, and you guys who are watching on demand or listening on demand on the podcast. Everyone immediately starts making matches. So I think that shows that fans want to see this Cody in certain matchups with new people in the game. And that makes you want to see things, right? Once you start making fantasy matches, then you want to see them fulfilled on television.
It's been done before, but I would almost love to see Cody brought in as almost an outsider, like Nash and Hall.
Yeah.
It
would be a reverse of what WCW did to WWE, where they treated it like you were an invading force.
And it's been so long, it wouldn't feel like a rehash. And you can always do things to make it your own. But having him come in as an outsider, like Luger showing up at Mall of America, Hall and Nash showing up in WCW.
Gotta get that blousey shirt. Gotta get that blousey pirate shirt that Lex Luger had.
Oh my God, the pirate!
I don't
shirt.
want to be a pirate.
Seinfeld.
Ethan with the comment.
Deal? What's the deal?
Shout out Champagne Video Store. If you want to follow really, really funny Seinfeld memes, Champagne Video Store on Instagram is hilarious. Go seek them out. Very, very funny.
What's the deal with Cody Rhodes?
Ethan Robinson with a comment here. Does Vince, who is this Vince character? Vince McMahon. Does Vince
Russo.
McMahon,
Russo.
Russo? Bro.
Does
Vince McMahon think Cody will be the savior of WWE? Here's the thing. A company that had $3 billion deals in the last 4 years maybe doesn't need a savior. A company that just reported $1 billion in revenue in one single quarter, maybe they don't need a savior.
When it comes
the idea that they have to be saved.
When it comes to the next TV contract, that's when we'll determine if they need saved. If the TV deals are microscopic compared to what they got,
or just less than what they got in the last round. So, and all indications are they're going to get something relatively close to what they already got.
That is when we know they need saved.
Yeah. And so it's certainly interesting here.
Rumor killer, by the way, we don't have this in the rotation, but let's give a rumor killer out there.
Kill it.
Since Cody's coming over from AEW to WWE, don't expect many others to do so, at least immediately. Chris Jericho reportedly gave the green light to a 2-year extension. He's with AEW until 2024.
The timing of that is very interesting. Don't you think the timing of that news getting out is almost like someone didn't like the narrative that was being said? It's almost like there was some buttons pushed. There were big red shiny buttons that were like there was a panic one, and then the reorganize button were hit in concession of one another. I'm not saying it's a panic button at all, but this is definitely a strategic move by someone in the AEW camp to put this news. They wanted this news out because they wanted people to stop talking about Cody like this.
Do you think this now completely erases the idea of one last WWE run with Jericho outside of Vince actually opening the forbidden door?
Well, he would be there until he's about 53. Is he going to be healthy at that point? 2 years from now, when you're 51, is a long time. And this is a Jericho who doesn't just want to do wrestling. He also wants to perform, tour with his band, and get around the world. And they signed a record deal with Sony, and he's never been able to really enjoy the benefit of a major record recording contract. He's had other ones, but this is the Fozzie's at a different level. So you have to factor that in. Does he have TV projects? Does he have other things he wants to do? Are those going to be under the Warner banner? What are they using to keep him there? Jericho's a big guy. He's already proven he can host television shows. So can he do all those things there?
He might be the guy that replaces Cody in Go Big Show.
Here we go. Don Skaggs. Kev Kellum is the biggest WWE loyalist. His opinion is the only opinion that is accurate. Don.
Apologist. You spelled apologist wrong.
You spelled apologist wrong. Thank you for jumping on that. Loyalist. You spelled apologist wrong. Don, how do I put this? I believe the phrase is sit out and spin. So there we go. I think you can do that one there.
What's the deal?
What's the deal? So yeah, come on, dude. There we go. I'm good. I'm fine.
You're just telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm just telling the truth, baby.
No,
tell my take. Tell my
No,
takes.
No,
Tell
I
my
was saying
takes.
he was telling. I said Don was telling the truth.
Oh, shut up. You fuck you, Jeremy. I'll say it. There we go. We're getting back into this. Getting back into this thing here. Yeah.
Back to the Jericho story real quick. This is similar to the options that Kazarian and Young Bucks had picked up recently. So Jericho is under contract for 2 more years.
It'll be interesting to see how this is done. It is interesting that this story did not catch the type of legs that the Cody thing did.
Well, it's just compared to just a lot of stories this week.
Yeah, it's a lot of stories, and when this Cody story is trumping Stone Cold reportedly coming back, that's when you know it's like, oh boy. And this was quite the move here.
And speaking of Stone Cold, we go to the next
hell
story.
yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Want to talk about this. Stone Cold Steve Austin is reportedly set for a major match. A return match, his first match in 19 years. Wrestling Observer saying that is indeed on the card, though they cannot completely confirm it. That is in the plans. It is in the working plans for WrestleMania this year. Coming up first weekend of April in Dallas, Texas at Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium. Stone Cold being their major attraction. They announced him. They're going to move some tickets and people are going to subscribe to Peacock just to see that. I absolutely agree with it. But now there's talk that a Steve Austin level announcement for WrestleMania could be made, and it may not even involve Steve Austin. What do we know about this? And then let's just get crazy and hypothetical about what it could be.
Well, basically, this has nothing to do with Austin. This is just saying that, all right, we dropped a bombshell yesterday saying, Fightful Select saying Stone Cold Steve Austin could be returning to the ring. Most likely against Kevin Owens. If you watched Monday Night Raw, those seeds were planted. There was a fake Wrestling Inc. did put out a report saying that Andrew Zarian said that it was going to be Stone Cold and Goldberg. Andrew Zarian said, no, I did not say that. So then they deleted that article. So now that still tells me I think it's going to be Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. So now on the latest edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Uncle Dave is saying that WWE's got another trick up their sleeve for WrestleMania that is on the level of Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to the ring. What in the hell?
What do you have? What is there? What other trick is it going to? If it's a Austin level trick, it's a significant name,
a
gigantic name,
have to be Rock,
and it's going to be a major attraction, one that people want to pay to see, right? And a trick would be them in an interesting position that you wouldn't expect them to see. And so there's 3 factors you got to get there. Okay. So if you already have Austin and you have Owens, that's huge. You know, that could sell out an arena on that match alone. You don't have to tell me anything else in the card, right? I'm not saying it could sell at a stadium. Maybe it will, right? But you bring up The Rock. The Rock has always talked about every year with WrestleMania for the last 10 years.
And he tweeted recently.
And he tweeted recently when someone asked him about the millions and the millions, he left the millions out. And he goes, oh, I'm leaving that for something else.
That pause is coming soon.
So that's interesting. And, we have people in the chat already saying The Rock, right? Is The Rock in a position to do this? Is this something? The problem with The Rock coming back and doing these runs in WWE in the past 10 years is this is a guy who's up there. He has a big body frame. He plays a lot of action films, and insurance issues come up with him getting injured in WWE and that affecting the production of a film he has coming up. It happened with his first run in 2012 when he had that big match. He came back in 2011, hosted Mania, set up the match the next year at Mania. Got hurt at that match, all right? Got hurt again in 2013. So 2 different matches where he came back, he had injuries that inhibited the production of a film he was working on in between. But at the same time, his WWE return really reinvigorated his career and set him in pace to be a huge star in Fast and the Furious and all these different programs and become a massive star, the biggest version of himself he could ever be in Hollywood because he reinvigorated his base in the wrestling world. So with me, if it's The Rock, it's a huge match and it's one match you can do. It's only one match you can do. If The Rock is coming back, do we do Rock versus Roman now? Or do we do Rock versus Roman in LA? Is this chapter 1 and then we do chapter 2 next year? How do you want to do this, man? Lay it out for me.
Well,
because you can if The Rock comes back, you got to have him in the ring with Reigns in some form or another.
And that's what's going to happen. It ain't going to be a match yet, because you still have Brock Lesnar who's going to challenge Roman Reigns, whether it be title for title, or it's going to be if he loses in the Elimination Chamber on Saturday. Either way, Lesnar is going to be facing Reigns at WrestleMania, and possibly Seth Rollins if it might get in there if they storyline fit him into the plans. The Rock, it would be an appearance. It'd be a stare down. It could be what closes the show. The Rock is kept quiet, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, The Rock was supposed to be busy. He's filming out of the country over WrestleMania." Well, they keep it quiet and then bring him out to close the show to set up next year. That could be about the only thing I could think that is on a Stone Cold Steve Austin in-ring return level.
Christopher Ryan Cooper just making me dream here, saying the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. Make me dream.
It
Ryan,
would not.
Make me dream.
It would be for like us in the chat and on the screen. It would be that would be huge for us, but not on the WWE scale. Not many. The casual fan does not know who Okada is, so that is not going to be like a Steve Austin type thing. It's going to be more of a Rock type of deal, or I mean, there really isn't anybody else that could really be on that level. It's Hogan, or it's not Hogan. It's Austin and Rock. So
Richard Rinaldi saying, I heard Bray is going to have a match at WrestleMania. I've heard nothing of that. I've heard nothing of Bray Wyatt coming back to the fold in WWE.
No.
And I've heard nothing of him approaching any wrestling organization, to be clear. Nothing on that regard here. But I understand, when these conversations come up, people just scream to the heavens about what's going to be the thing here. It'll be interesting to see what WWE can pull out of the hat. And another thing that's worth noting here is that we're kind of late in the game here, in terms of WrestleMania matches that you can announce. You have the Elimination Chamber. So after this Saturday in Saudi Arabia, we will see a lot of Mania's top picture kind of get cemented, and how that will play out. But there's a lot of mid-card matches that become those extra attractions that really sell people in the last month or so on Mania, and that's where I think an Austin gets announced. That's where I think if you do that on Monday, if you do that next Monday on Raw, wow, maybe you build up to it a little bit more, make a little bit more anticipation, right? But it'll certainly be interesting. It is worth noting that WWE is hitting some major markets with Monday Night Raw in the next few weeks, including Chicago. They will also be doing live events in New York City at Madison Square Garden, so they're going to want to announce some big things. They're going to want to announce some big things and move the needle a bit here.
Columbia, South Carolina this Monday, Columbus, Ohio the next Monday.
Mm-hmm. And then so it'll be interesting to see how this goes here and how things play out. Johnny, he says, give me Austin versus Cody, the money match. Dusty's son, come on, it writes itself. So that's what he wants to see. It'd be crazy here. Also, in loving memory of 205 Live, we should address that too. WWE had their Vengeance Day special edition of WWE NXT yesterday. I got to watch about half of it. I've not finished it. I absolutely loved the Tony D'Angelo, Pete Dunne weaponized cage match. I thought it was one of the more creative hardcore matches in a while.
Mello and Grimes tore down the freaking house.
Hell of a match too. If you guys have been sleeping on NXT, don't. This was a really, really good show with some really fun, exciting new talent that's coming up there. And NXT Level Up will be a new show that will air on Peacock on the WWE Network. And this will basically replace 205 Live. 205 Live ending its run through the WWE. It was created as a brand, an extension of the Cruiserweight Classic tournament from 2016, 2017. And, an end that some people saw coming. I think 205 Live was a show that a lot of people would skip. There'd be some characters on there that were compelling. They were kind of working their way up to another brand of WWE. But you simply have too much wrestling and people kind of pick and choose. And this was a show that people would not choose to watch with everything else.
For the longest time, it was not 205 Live. They're basically changing the name of the product to fit it best. It's getting people ready for NXT. Joe Gacy was wrestling on 205 Live. He is not 205. There were other wrestlers that were not 205 that had been wrestling on that show. But it's also now, they're rebranding it to what it actually is. It's a springboard for NXT. You got Inoue and Malik Blade, who were in the Dusty Cup and had a pretty good run into the semifinals. They got their starts on 205 Live, and same goes. I think Joe Gacy was the same. He got his start on 205 Live as well. And so this is, they're just renaming it to what it is. And it's, just a springboard for a future talent to come to NXT. All right, we got one more story in the house.
Yes, we have one more story here. So it isn't all bad news for All Elite Wrestling. I think they have a lot of fun stuff coming up here with Revolution. It looks like they have a new, exciting face joining the fold. And this one's a couple of months behind when people thought he would be there. We saw these vignettes come out from Buddy Matthews, formerly known as Buddy Murphy in WWE. And these were pretty compelling about him kind of breaking out of like an asylum prison type place, similar to what, we had from John Moxley a few years ago when he left WWE. These are very well done. They featured some NXT names. Josiah, who did a bunch of the theme music for WWE and has done it now for some All Elite talent. He was involved in this, and they kind of acted in these vignettes, and they're really, really well done. And that people thought that was kind of a lead up to him joining All Elite Wrestling, and it didn't happen. He then stayed active, performing for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Major League Wrestling as well, and hitting very big independent matches across the country as independents came back in 2021. But now it seems he is primed for an All Elite Wrestling debut.
Fightful Select with a report here earlier today stating that Buddy Murphy, now known as Buddy Matthews, is going to be heading to All Elite Wrestling, according to some people within the company. He's been a free agent since September, and he had interviewed with Fightful recently and said he wasn't sure where he would land. He worked a lot of indie dates and also did some dates for New Japan and Major League Wrestling. Sources within AEW in recent weeks have indicated that there was growing interest and rumblings about Matthews joining the company in some capacity, even heard creative pitches that were made. Another source went as far as to say creative has already decided. Nothing has been confirmed in that, though, but several talent in AEW are told that the working plans are to bring Matthews in, and that's been going, the word for that has been going around since January. This exact same thing was with Keith Lee. Everybody within the locker room agreed with the Fightful Select report that came out. And sure enough, Keith Lee debuted last week. So it's probably going to be probably imminent. I think the best place for him would be, honestly, put him in the House of Black.
Let's see how things play out. I think it's another name debuting from WWE in All Elite Wrestling, and it's another name debuting in All Elite from another organization. And he's a guy who's going to skip the line, basically, and jump in front of people that you're developing in-house. So that tends to start being a trying thing now, I think. I don't think fans are going to get upset about it. They're going to enjoy it. It's All Elite Wrestling, right? It's a great show. They have a lot of talent. I'm not denying that. But it does set up this kind of like issue that it's just like you're bringing people in, and where are the younger guys coming up? I would rather see a younger face added to the House of Black than another guy from another organization. Like you just did it with Brody, and so I don't know, just my take. I think there's a lot of great matches that Buddy can have in All Elite Wrestling. There are a ton of really cool bangers that he can have, like from top down. Like if you put him in the ring with Lucha Brothers, that would be cool. You put him in the ring with Moriarty, that would be awesome. Have we ever seen him and Brian Danielson had some bangers
tonight
in WWE? So I would love to see them have some big matches in All Elite Wrestling.
You mentioned two guys that are facing each other tonight, Lee Moriarty and Brian Danielson. That's just where there's no word. Nothing is in that Fightful report. Nothing is in there about his creative plans. That's just where I would honestly put him. I think that's where I think he would fit best in. It would be in the House of Black, but there's a lot of if you watch those vignettes, those are really well done. That he can. I've been saying that, Jay. I've been saying that for weeks now. Julia Hart's going to join the House of Black. Mm-hmm. I think it's obvious. I think they're just really slow burning it because that's what AEW likes to do. But that's just my opinion that I think he would fit best, at least to start, in the House of Black.
It would certainly be interesting. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show today. Did you have fun? Did you like it? How come you haven't hit the like button yet? It's something free you can do for us, and it helps us defeat the almighty algorithm. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the show, being positive with your comments. And if you're not, we're going to dunk on you. All right. So we have no problem doing that. Go ahead and like the stream. Go ahead and share the link. If you want to enjoy us in audio on-demand form, you can do so on Spotify and Apple. Just subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling, just like you're doing here on YouTube and following on Facebook. Thank you to the hundreds of thousands of people that caught our content this week on Facebook. A lot of other ways to take us in as well. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. If you haven't done so, go ahead and vote in the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards. Only a couple more weeks to get your votes in there. And you can do so at sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards. Special content there with Rob Van Dam, Renee Paquette, Booker T, and so many more. Go check it out. Follow Jeremy on the Twitter machine at JB Huskers. You can follow me at Kev Kellum. And remember, when watching wrestling, please do the most important thing that you can do, which is what?
Enjoy wrestling. Yeah.
Talk to them.
Let me talk to you. What?